All right. Good morning. This is Les Sinclair coming in from Zoom, and I'm in Midland, Texas. Want to welcome everybody to our Thursday, November 20th, 2025 Parks and Community Services meeting. And first off, I want to thank Mark for stepping in for me last month. I appreciate that very much.
Pleasure.
So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we'll start off with approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. Were there any comments or corrections?
I've got one I was just gonna ask is that, under section D, the first sentence, I think I'm giving too much credit for some of the planting work that's taking place. So I was gonna ask that the part that says Mark and his wife, when they're describing the planting that's happening at Elk Creek Park and others, get removed, because there's a whole bunch of people involved with that.
Well, I think it was just saying that you guys planted some plants there, but yeah. Anyway.
Or it should be Margaret and husband. Well, I'm thank you, Ben. Acknowledgement, but I feel that we don't need to be called out for anything.
You do Mark and Friends.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Were there any other comments or amendments to the meeting, to the minutes from last month?
Gosh,
Yeah, oh yeah, so AJ just pointed out, I can speak, on the monthly share of the park, the 100 daffodil bulb planted is really 1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a big difference.
That is really a big difference.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Anything else? All right, let's just, as a committee, indicate your approval of the minutes as amended by just a show of hands. All right, carries.
Motion. Last need a motion.
Yeah, I need a motion.
I need a motion, so somebody needs their motion.
All right, then I
Minutes.
need a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended.
Second, if you need that.
Got a second?
Yeah, Mark seconded it.
Mark said.
All right, so once again, did we get a second? I'm not quite hearing all the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's just show approval by a show of hands of the committee members. All right. Will that work, Sherry?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience or online that wishes to speak to the group?
We do not, Les.
Okay, very good. We can move on to section 4. So I guess, Karen, are you going to do the introduction?
I would like to, I am excited to introduce Chris Mastrandrea. Chris. He is my replacement and he has been transitioning with me for the last couple of weeks and he's done a great job. I'd like Chris to just tell you a little bit about his background, so everybody knows kind of where he came from. And he's very qualified and excited to do his job, so get it, Chris.
Thanks, Karen. Yeah, Chris Mastrandrea. I'm a local down in Arch Cape. My background or my career been in basically commercial construction project management. I was an Oregon State University grad and had ties to Arch Cape as my wife grew up here. And eager to serve the community in my professional manner and excited to be here. Nice to meet everyone. I know a couple of people through connections, as you all know, and being on the coast, you tend to know some folks. So it'll be great to meet the other folks that I don't know. But yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Chris.
Oh,
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Anita.
So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Karen Lamont for all of her help to this committee and the community at large. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
All right.
All right,
next on-
pardon? Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the state of the parks thing. Are you gonna do the honors, AJ?
Yep, I'll do it this week. So we finished planting all the bulbs, 1,700. At Makegoose, as you know, the tree fell over and, we worked with the roads crew to clean that up really quickly. We winterized the irrigation system in the main park, which involves air compressor and then going through all the circuits and blowing all the water out. Which probably wouldn't freeze anyways, but it's just normal maintenance. Kirk and I put the ball field away, which is what we call it, which consists of getting clay from around our film site and mounting it up on there and then putting tarps and concrete blocks on there, and then it just kind of settles throughout the winter.
And pull the bases.
And pull the bases, yeah. And we're currently replacing some of the interpreted signs around town or cleaning. And then last, I wanted to thank the COLA volunteers for helping out around town. Over Betty and Mark, other various people. It's been a big help and we're getting a lot done this year.
I think the soccer ball. We usually carry them up onto the trails. We get 6 people together, which is the biggest challenge of the year.
All right, any follow-up, any other comments regarding the state of the parks? All right. We've got one right-of-way tree notice in the packet. Trevor, any comments that you want to share or any questions from the group?
I don't have anything to add to this, it's pretty basic. Tell my judgment, great report that you wrote. We will be taking these, these are gonna be Alder wood chips, which are good wood chips. And we're gonna deploy them at the end of Spruce Street there by the entrance to the back end of the school. We cleaned up that area a couple of years ago, we're gonna add some more wood chips in that area since these are good wood chips.
Okay. Trevor, I just had one question. I know from reading the packet that homeowners within a certain radius, were to be notified. Did the folks that live right there on that corner house, were they concerned about losing the buffer to the street, or did you have any feedback?
They were the ones that initially told me was concerned about these trees.
Okay.
That's what triggered this, so they're on board with it. They actually have to remove one on their property as well, but that's their permit process, the private property side, it's not us.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other conversation on right-of-way trees from the group? All right, how about moving on then to our we call it monthly reserve cleanup, but there's a lot of activity going on. I appreciate all the hard work that the group is doing. You want to start us off, Betty, with your piece?
Sure. Well, in Colorado, college students are back with us, which is such a blessing. They started out at Quail Park, and we went there 2 weeks. And that they helped plant the daffodils, and we seeded some of Mark's seeds there, flower seeds. And then the next week they came over to the other side by the food pantry and cleared out. I mean, it was such a big pile of Scotch broom and blackberries. And I love the fact that these girls that are working there are getting out blackberry stumps this big. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then this week, they went down to the school, the Cannon Beach Academy, and they're clearing the area where the city's gonna let us put some plants and have a little outdoor learning center for the kids. And so I don't know how big that pile was, but it was huge. So they're really helping our city, and I'm so grateful for that, because our weed warriors that meet on Saturdays, we get a lot done, but kids are amazing. So on the weed warriors, what we did was we went back to Nacoos on the pocket park next to Nacoos, because it had a flood from the king tide came and went almost all the way up to the bench, and the plants are good, which was a miracle. So we worked there again, and now we're gonna be just moving on up that trail all the way up to Little Pompeii. You know, slowly moving our way up to the trail with the weed warriors. So anyway, that's what we have. And we are trying to, every time we take plants out, we're trying to put pollinators in or trees in, just because if you're taking it out, then the weeds are gonna say, yay. So anyway, we're trying to backtrack and get something growing there that would be beneficial rather than more invasives.
Betty, were you planning on planting pollinators up along the that pathway toward Little Pompeii? I think you said y'all were gonna work your way up along there. Was that
Yeah,
your intent?
I was thinking that would be good. I mean, Mark's having some success. He's planted these plants in his yard and they're surviving, so I think it's a good idea for us to just see how much we can do. They elk don't seem to be bothering them, so.
So, and I'm not disagreeing at all. I think it's a great idea. I was just curious, some of the pollinators that you planted at the pocket park, you actually purchased.
Yeah.
And then I think we've used some of the seed mix that Mark has come up with. Do we need to come up with a way to purchase more pollinators as this grows, or are we going to stick with the seed mix, or what's your plan?
Well, that's something that I wanted to mention, just because if we could have a budget or some kind of, if we could know, I mean, the plants that I got for the pocket park and next to Nacoos was money from ECAP. They gave me money to plant plants there. They used to do trees, but they're saying they'll help us with our pollinators. So is there a process? Yes.
So the park committee does not have a budget.
No.
No, we're not gonna go that out, but when it comes closer to budget season, when we start discussing that, we can sit down with Chris and myself, and we can discuss plugging some money into our parks budget.
That'd be
First of
great.
all,
That'd be
you
great.
guys do not have a budget.
No, I'm just throwing it out because I know that if this is our vision, it would be nice to have some help.
And that would allow AJ as well to plant some seeds in some areas and just do that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Betty, is it possible to work with the garden club and see if they would donate something to your cause until that stopgap, until we get next year's budget?
Well, I think the ECAP is willing to help us.
Oh, good.
And I'm gonna talk to them, and I'm willing to put money into it too, okay. Anyway,
After the 28th.
thanks, guys.
I don't mention.
Okay. But I think the seed is such a wonderful idea, because you get a huge amount of seeds, and then they seem to like it,
Take off.
even with the high tide, so, I mean, the king tide, so yeah.
Well,
Great.
our next is to get you to next year's budget.
Very, very good.
So that's that.
Then maybe Les, to your question also is, you know, the pollinator mix that we have now, native wildflowers for native bees, would be as, it does look like a fair amount of sunshine. And we know that route that Betty's describing is kind of shading some of that, so we probably need to maybe look at that seed mix. And there could be a different mixture of plants that would do better in some of those shady areas, so that might actually even be aesthetically pleasing. You could go along and be patches in the sunshine of one compilation of plants, and then kind of go in the shade and other things that would still do well there, but still flower, produce.
Exactly,
pollinator
yeah.
habitat.
Right.
So.
I think that sounds great. 100% behind it, and I would be willing to, to provide funds as well. But I would like it to be, if it makes sense, to be something that gets recognized in the city budget going for next year. Just because I think this pollinator idea is a really good one, and it could go citywide pretty easily.
Well, Hampton Lumber has hired a person that's just focusing on pollinators in place. And when they do clear cuts now, they're doing pollinators, seeing the value of it, so we're kind of on the cutting, our city will be on the cutting edge of that.
If you could quantify what you're hoping for relative to the budget, it gives Chris something to work with. So if you can kind of lay out your plan, what you're gonna plan for next year. And quantify what that dollar amount looks like, and then get it to him over the next 30 days or so, would be super helpful, because he's working on next year's budget as we speak.
Okay, awesome.
But, yeah, two mixes, the shading one and the sunshine one, let's try to get that quantity.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I got those from, as I've shared before, you two redundant, I got those from Silver Mountain Seed. It's pretty good knowing that the sowing rate, what we picked up before is that, a pound of seed will cover about 5,000 square feet, so we can get a general idea. And look what that is.
And you guys replenish that every year, so you would go back to those same locations and then do that again, or what's your interval and your routine?
These are, perennials.
They're perennials, and the annuals that are in there actually produce seed, drop that seed, and then generate that up for another set of annuals.
That's all, then you don't know how to quantify that in the budget.
Yeah.
It would also be nice to have some established plants, just because, that would be good too. If there's, well, AJ, what's the one you're gonna get for the school?
The ceanothus,
Yeah, ceanothus is so beautiful. And what was the other one you were saying?
either wax myrtle or, some rhododendrons.
Yeah,
Yeah, the wax.
oh, rather than, so
So they
things like
say all the
that,
time, even when the flowers die back, seeds.
Everything has to,
yeah.
same thing with ceanothus or rhododendron. And the elk don't really mess with them that much. Is the main thing.
Then real quick, kind of related to the proof of concept of sowing those seeds is that, I showed at the Watershed Council meeting on Monday night, some examples of where we have done that at Arch Cape for some road decommissioning work that was done. And without there, I think we sowed about 10,000 square feet in September. I went back there last week, and all of those patches are just like bright green little, and it almost looks like 100% germination. There's a couple patches, because I was sowing in my hand, but it was really nice to see them germinate, growing. They're about a half an inch tall now. So they're established, and then they probably won't grow much now, but just take off in the spring, so.
So you guys also eligible for the grant that the city issues every year.
I was
community grants.
wondering, is
So
that
you guys should
fun?
take advantage of that, so that when you submit your plan to Chris, you can say, here's our strategy of what we want to try to tackle. Here's the quantifiable dollar amount for 1 year's worth of budget, and we're also gonna pursue the city, community grant. And so you don't have enough in your grant ask, and you want the city to supplement that. It'd be nice to go forward and show how you're helping yourself in addition to asking for budget, because it is non-traditional, the Parks Committee, we have a budget. And so he's gonna have to sell that to the leadership, because we're setting a precedence if we go forward with it. So just be aware of that, so help him help you, by chasing the grant, and see what you can get off of that as well. And you'll have to have a plan for that anyway, so you're gonna hit two birds with one stone.
Would it be simpler to have, this be a line item in the parks budget? And just,
But that's for AJ's responsibility. It's not typically for volunteer groups, but I mean, we've done it with the Beaver program, but we also took advantage of the community grant for that and got donations from other organizations. Our forester neighbors donated to that. So that's why I say just try to bring as much as you can to the table because that's gonna help him establish that. It is in the city property and the city right of way, so you got that going for you. It's
Yeah,
not like you're asking for something that isn't applicable. It's just that we don't typically, these committees have not had budgets,
right,
so.
thanks.
Skip here.
Aaron, just thinking out loud here. I mean, the Parks Committee, I don't think would be eligible to request a grant on its own, but I think that ECAP, I think they're a 501(c), if I remember correctly, could make that request. Does that kind of sound right?
That's right.
Anybody within your volunteer group that is part of that is ECOLA, Iowa School, 501(c), could they apply for it?
No,
On behalf of the students that are helping you?
you know, I really think ECAP would do this easily because they're very interested in the watershed and
Yeah.
just the idea. I mean, they already gave us money, so.
Yeah.
it would be,
Take it out of the box.
yeah,
And then I come Chris.
that'd be great.
Well, and I have a budget for plants and all of that, so what would be the difference with me using some of that to just buy plant seed if it's going in city properties?
Nothing other than the fact that you've already established a lot of pop-up areas, so if you're gonna maintain those, and then you're adding this to it, you just have to be cognizant of what you're asking for here. That's all I'm saying. It's not that it's not reasonable, it's just that you kind of have to quantify it for one calendar year, what it's costing you to do all these places, so. You may have to pull back on what you're doing in your other areas to be able to supplement this. That's why I asked if it's an annual thing. That's all I'm saying.
we're taking a, there was an estimate of how much money we spend on these seeds. We asked to increase the park budget that much.
Yeah.
And then we just, either AJ orders with Mark or Mark orders, we just reimburse or however it works.
So it does a lot.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be simple to not have to find budget, create a budget for parks committee, that's not.
So it increases the current budget to be able to encapsulate this to it as well.
I can't imagine it's that much.
No,
It's quantifier, doesn't hurt to ask.
for $200.
Yeah, so.
Thanks for everybody's for support. This is, it's a good thing.
Yeah, great discussion.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
All right, Russ,
Had one. Sorry, did I interrupt somebody?
no, go ahead.
I had one question, from last month's meeting. There was, I noticed a conversation around a project involving the Bible school volunteers and removing cages from around the cedar trees at the ECFR. I'm curious, did that happen?
We tried, we had it all set up and, it flooded and it was just too dangerous to take the kids, but Graham would like to do it in the spring and redo that idea. And AJ went up and saw the trees and they're still okay. They're not bulging out or anything, but they're all huge and beautiful and
Yeah, there's about 100 of them. I'd say 80 or so have cages around them. And they're all along the North Fork River and across the North Fork River. About right around 20 feet tall, maybe average. Some bigger, some smaller. But the cages are only about this big and the stalks of the trees are considerably smaller, so they're not choking out the stalks of the trees yet. So next spring, when the river is lower, we can easily get across it, or if we want to come in from the other side, we can take all the cages and then make just probably a big pile and then come load them up in the truck when they're ready. So we have a plan to do it. But it's not, I don't think it's gonna involve any of the volunteers, because for them to be able to get out there, they have to walk in, which would be quite a while, and then be able to walk out with, within 2 hours, and getting the cages off probably wouldn't be feasible, so. Yeah, we'll just do it all
We're gonna do it.
in-house.
We're gonna do this in-house
With trucks.
because, like I said, the time frame if your kids can help us really doesn't do us any good, because of the short time period.
Okay,
So we're gonna attack on that.
okay,
The
wow,
appropriate time is available in spring or summer.
thank you.
And they are, yeah, grown adults, we always call them kids, but they're.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I know they are adults, but
Yeah, the 2 hour windows is not.
that's true, that's true. Well, that's wonderful, because that's been something that we've been talking about for
We
quite a
have
while.
our colleagues on board, so.
Yeah, great, thank
There'll
you
be
guys.
some guys there besides us.
Anything further, tree related? Maybe reserve cleanup related? Okay, so the next item on our agenda is Tree City USA, and I know that was discussed last month. Barb Knopp has graciously offered to do that again with, of course, most of the work I think falls on Sherry. But was there any further conversation around that, or did I miss something about Tree City USA application?
Just all the information was sent to Barb, it is due December 15th. And I'm working with her to get that, sent in prior to that date.
Sherry, did you say December 15?
Yeah, December 15th is due, so we'll get it in the next, week or so.
Okay. Yeah, I believe, and I think maybe you even discussed it, but we have been a Tree City USA recipient for many years, and that's certainly something that we should be proud of. And thanks again to Barb for stepping up. Any other comments around Tree City USA?
Well, I've wondered, I mean, I appreciate Barb taking this on, but is there anybody that is backup or sort of learning the ropes on that so that, heaven forbid, she's not able, or she can, sort of mentor someone to take over once she maybe wants to step back, which maybe will never happen, and that'd be great, but I just wonder if there's anybody that could fill that void if it is necessary.
Admin has always done it, and Barb has done it for years, and just working together with the public works admin position, so if for whatever reason Barb couldn't do it, or decided she wouldn't continue with it, the admin position would do it, and if someone from the committee wanted to support that, like Barb has, you're free to do it, but it's a city staff responsibility.
Thank you, Karen.
And I think that Anita just volunteered herself.
Well, I've said that before, but
Yeah, I share your concern, Anita.
well, it's just helpful, just support, not concern so much as just support, and so somebody knows what Barb's doing, and could step in if needed to assist the city admin.
Yeah, I appreciate Karen's advice on that. Makes me feel a little bit better. Probably what we really should do is just make an effort to let both Barb and Sherry know that we appreciate the work they do on the committee's behalf, and that they're not taken for granted, because it is a fair amount of work for somebody.
Right.
I think Barb began doing it as the chairperson of this committee. Yeah.
She really,
Parks committee thing, and then it went with her instead of the committee, which is cool.
and she is doing it as a volunteer, so, she's including her hours on the application, for the application.
Okay, anything else for Tree City? December 15th. Okay, so 12 days of Earth Day, that was a topic of discussion last month. I'm not sure I completely got all of it. Maybe Karen or maybe Betty, could somebody anyway kind of give us an update on exactly where we're at on next year's 12 days? What do we plan to do?
Okay, we haven't done much since you left, Les, but we haven't even set our date, so I thought that would be a good place to start.
Okay.
And as soon as we get our date set, and then I think we should figure out, we had talked about doing an event every month. And I just noticed that the Pelican Brewery is doing a mushroom event in December or November, and then December and January, they have an event every month at their place giving talks. And I thought, well, if we hook in with them
Yeah.
and call it, if they were to say it would be, we would help advertise it. We could merge with that already established event. We would already have November, December, January. That's kind of rushing it for us, but it's just a nice thought to see how we can communicate with something that's already going on, but highlight it as something that is part of our awareness in the city of how much we care about the environment. And anyway, they have a meeting place, they have it set up, are advertising it. So I wanted to bring that up. And then also, if we still feel okay about kind of parsing it out over the months, or is there a lot of objection to that? So I don't feel like I should be the decider or less. I think we need a partner consensus on it.
Yeah, that's what I recalled too, what you just described, Betty, and what I was hearing was there was a pretty good agreement on the idea of dispersing it throughout the year. It might not be additive, but it would take some of the things that have been happening in a condensed form over 12 days and make it over 12 months. The other was the acknowledgement is that whatever we do here shouldn't add extra work or workload for public works staff or any city staff really. So this would be something that really the committee and our volunteers could take on. There were some good ideas on that wheel you had showing different subjects for each month.
Right.
And if I recall correctly, we kind of left it that, let's get the people on the committee, hopefully the whole Parks Committee, that would want to discuss, fine tune those subjects. But it was the mechanics of how we could get together with that and not make it a public meeting, or we actually just need to advertise it and make it a public meeting, but something outside of this time slot of getting together, kind of keeping this initiative moving. So that's what I recall.
Yeah, if we could get a work session as soon as possible. Because Les and I already know that if we don't start in December, we're already behind in our old way of doing it. And so I would say if we could get a work committee started between now and before the holidays, the real holidays coming up, that would be great. Maybe the first week in December or something like that, we could get a work party.
Sounds good to me.
I believe it would have to be a public meeting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you just have to be cognizant about, public meeting laws, so if you're gonna have 3 or more of you, we have to advertise it. And it has to be in a location where the public can participate as you guys work through it.
Yeah.
Last month, we had kind of talked about refining what you would actually do on the real weekend of the 12 days event, where you have the parade and whatnot, and tighten that. And then create your 12-month calendar, and exactly what you said, Betty, plug in the events that already occur in town. The museum has some talks, the library has some talks about environmental efforts. Plug those in and then see what your fallout is. And then as a committee, talk about where you have holes to fill your 12 months. And that way you're not competing against other communities, because your whole goal is to get more community involvement. So capitalize on it, help advertise the event. We can stick that on the city website under events and the Facebook page, and invite people to participate and sign up for those events and show that 12-month calendar. Then all you're left to do is just your one weekend that you're doing your street fair and your parade and keep it tight like that. I thought I walked away with that from last month's discussion. And if you guys need to have a meeting to do a work session and kind of refine that and kind of get yourself organized, you can, we just have to advertise it, and we gotta find a location. And as you know, as we get in the holidays, trying to get this room, be super tight with council's agenda and special sessions they have going on, so Sherry's gotta see what's available to us. You can do a work session via Zoom, it just has to be advertised so the public can participate.
I saw you guys had a meeting in a tiny room somewhere.
City Hall, at the City Hall campsite.
I mean, is that also a place that I don't know.
You'd have to work with Sherry on the availability.
Yeah, we just gotta see what's available.
I mean, this, we don't need a space this big,
We
but,
can do telephone call.
okay, but they don't have Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry.
Total
Oh,
bottom
they
line,
don't have Wi-Fi, and you have to Zoom it, so we could do it.
their internet service is terrible, yeah. But,
Anita?
Have to go.
Anita, you got something?
we could also, if we can't figure out a work session, maybe our next meeting could just be
A work session.
a work session.
Yeah. And last month, we kind of talked about turning one of your regular meetings into a work session to refine this and leave the agenda just for that, unless you got a tree, permit or whatnot. And maybe that's the best way to do it, to kind of get yourselves ready. Like you said, you're not starting in December, you guys are behind the 8 ball, because this comes up super fast.
Another thing, the Ecola Battle kids aren't here in December, so they wouldn't have their work days. And, the weekend warrior people are not gonna do it for
Yeah.
December, so that's a low month. So that would be a good month for us
So are you proposing to make your December meeting a work session to go through this?
Yeah, sounds good.
Anita, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I've got a question, just, watching city council, and I'm wondering, do we need to pitch this to the council to get their blessing, since we're basically changing the structure of this 12 days and somehow let them know that we're wanting to do 12 months and then condense the street fair and parade into a weekend? Or do we come up with our plan and then get city council's blessing?
I think you refine your plan, you're not changing the 12 days per se event. What you're doing is just encouraging people to be more visible around the 12 months of the calendar year. You're not really hosting those events, you're advertising them. But tighten your plan, and make sure that's what you're gonna do once you guys have your work session. And then I'll talk to Bruce and Barb and see if that's something that needs to go forward to council. You're not really changing your 12 days event, but the parade and the street fair and that weekend, none of that's changing.
We're also gonna do shreds, right?
Right.
Shreds, and then this last year, the shreds also did,
Compost.
compost, which was really nice. And then
And that's where the work.
we had the tree planting with the kids. We had,
Haystack Rock,
what?
HRAP, Haystack Rock Awareness Program.
Yeah, and then we have the HVAC, and then we have the beach salt cleanup.
Right,
So it's still gonna be kind of the main things,
right,
and then the other things the talks, we might have one talk, or,
right,
I mean, we still wanna make it a special
right.
thing, but
Refine your plan and we'll see if it needs to go to council. Right now, based on what you guys are saying, I don't see that it needs to, but I can be wrong, and the other day makes a good point, let's just double check. So we don't step on ourselves, and add to your list, Recology does a mattress recycle. And so we can reach out to find out what they have open, that they do this from Astoria down to Tillamook. And they reached out to me in the past, and I said we would be very interested in it, because it's a big truck, kind of like the shred, and we gotta have a place to put that where the community can bring mattresses, but it's a great recycle program that they have going on.
so the person that I contacted last year Wanda Green. Rhonda Green, anyway, she doesn't work there anymore, she's not there, and I have no contact with her.
Ecology,
Yeah, thank you,
okay,
because I tried to get her to do a project with this little kids at the school, and she doesn't exist anymore.
They've had some staffing changes, but we still have a main contact that's our account manager at Ecology, so.
Great.
So just so I can understand a little bit more, so this year we're thinking that we're going to do the 12 days and the 12 months and maybe tie in with Pelican. And have we talked to Pelican so that we can partner with them? That's kind of how I'm understanding it. Is that the direction that we're going?
Well, I just saw that the Pelican was doing these events, so I was thinking somebody from our group could talk with them and see if they would be interested in also saying it was part of the 12 days of Earth Day. This is kind of jumping ahead, but still, if they were willing to do it even for just January, that January event, and then we could just sort of tag with them and then see what's going on with the HRAP, see what's going on with NCLC for the year, having them plug into a month, that they would like to do a presentation or an event, something. So we're just starting the planning of it. We haven't made any decisions.
So this year we'll still be doing the 12 days though, or next year for 2026.
You mean the weekend event?
Well, I think our plan is not to give up on all the hardcore things we do at 12 days, but try to spread the talks out over the year. That's where we're going. Trying to go.
Yeah, so Anita, I think what we're trying to do is only preserve the 12 consecutive days would not be a thing anymore. It would be, if I remember right, it would be the Friday and Saturday where we have the parade, where we have the street fair, where we do the shred event. That would remain intact. And it would be that weekend that corresponds with Earth Day. But we wouldn't have things that weekend before necessarily or scattered through the week.
Okay.
That's my thinking on it anyway. And we would substitute monthly events.
I think this is where your work session is important, because what Les just said is a change of the existing structure, and we probably would have to take that forward to council. If you're not changing that stays intact, and you're just growing it by adding your rest of your year events that you capitalize on and participate in and advertise, then that's not a change of the existing structure of the 12 days. So let's hammer that out in December and then be ready to take it forward. If you're changing the traditional 12 days of that weekend and those 12 days, it would probably need to go to council. Okay?
Yeah, because I was thinking more like we would keep the Sol event, but we wouldn't have to do everything on that. It would be 12 days light for that, but anyway, I was thinking the Sol event, we would stay. The Puffin event happens anyway, even if we're not involved in it. Because that's something they do right at that time of the year. And then the shred event, and then the tree planting with the kids on Earth Day itself. So it kind of spreads it out, not so much at that same weekend, but the parade and the street fair would still happen. And the shred event would be the day before, and we might have a Sol event the week before or the week after. We always have our parks work day, the weekend warriors. We have that during that month, but we usually do it the week before. So anyway, we have a lot to work out.
Yeah, got a lot to talk about next month for sure.
Is there somebody that can talk to someone at Pelican just to kind of throw what we're talking about and see what they feel about that?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
I think that's an important step.
If
Well,
if the
you
group is,
I'll,
Yay, Mark.
Mark, are you volunteering for that?
You know, Mark, I think it's gonna take two of us to get this. I'll underjoin.
Mug club members, so I know pretty well, actually. Including the manager.
All right, so-
I'll kind of see where they're at. They might go, no, that's our deal, this kind of. But I'll see where they're at so we can talk about it.
Pushing off, I would say, yeah, more the merrier, you know, advertise for people to show up, you know?
Yeah,
Okay,
I've
so-
actually talked to the manager there about that space, and I would be shocked if they weren't willing to work with us.
I would be, so but let's change.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't make that assumption.
Yeah, maybe I'll go there tonight, so.
So I will,
Say it then.
I will try to put together a straw model for a calendar that at least fits what I thought we were talking about doing and make sure it's available for us for the next meeting. Will that be helpful?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll take that on.
thanks, Les.
Anything else with regard to 12 days?
This might be premature, not regarding classes but if anything involves, 12 months of, specific volunteer efforts in the field, I just ask you to be flexible about how things, tides and wind, weather, what we do, and what we don't do. Yeah, this big, we need to do something, we don't wanna wait 4 months so you guys can do it, it's gonna get done, stuff like that.
Right.
We will. In fact, what I think we should have you guys talking to us during our work session so that, you know, yeah, because we don't want to make it harder on you guys,
No,
you know.
I
That's what
remember
we're
last
doing.
time we were talking about maybe moving the tree planting toward the fall, so with the kids.
so you wouldn't have to water us.
So, yeah, I don't have to water all those extra trees, and then that would be one thing less.
Well, we talked-
Over on.
I talked to Barb about that. Barb said that the reason she realizes that October is, and I thought we could do an October one, but she realizes that, I mean, Arbor Day is in the spring. That's why she always does it in the spring, to honor Arbor Day, which makes sense for so she would like to keep it in the spring, but we could also do it in the fall, you know, as an extra.
We'll discuss this during our work session.
Yeah.
Okay. For the late.
We have a
Thank you,
meeting.
AJ.
Okay, so I guess we're good.
All right, anything else at this point? So we have agreed to turn the December meeting into a work session. Okay,
Yes.
that works. That works for me.
Specifically for 12 days? Is that
Yeah,
specific?
that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Take all the time.
Okay.
So, minutes and that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah, official things.
All right, if we've finished with that, then, we're at the good of the order. Has anybody got anything to say? I've got a couple of comments, but anybody got anything to bring up?
I'm just gonna reiterate that the preservers, the people that work on the weekend, our next, well, I guess it's December, we're not gonna do this December, so never mind. Our next time we meet though will be at, on that trail over by the cruise. So, but that's in January, so never mind.
This could be quick, hopefully. Karen, back in February, Sally Newman wanted to bring a Nerdle trommel and present it to Parks. Do you have an update or status on where that is, since I'm not sure you'll be available for that information after this month?
Go ahead, baby. I do have some information on that. So Sally was one of the weekend warriors that came out, last week. And I asked her about it and she said that they've been having some issues. So they haven't really been able to carry their load on that idea. So I think it's just sort of on hold right now. And there's also some issues she didn't realize about where they're gonna store it, who's gonna run it. It's kind of like saying to Parks, Public Works, okay, here's another job for you to do. So anyway, it's kind of a complicated issue, so I
Okay.
think it's in the works, but I don't know what it's gonna come out. Thank
So-
you.
Thank you.
Anita, what exactly did you call that? I didn't catch
I
it.
called it a nerdle trommel, and that probably came from some research that I did when Karen first brought the idea up via Sally, and just seeing what the heck it was. And this seemed to be developed more for wetlands, and that's where some questions, for me were, is it really going to work on the beach, as well as who's going to run it, where's it going to be stored, who's going to pay for it. So there were a lot of questions, and that's, I think we were waiting at Karen's suggestion, thankfully, to get through some of the other things before we invited Sally in to enlighten us on this. So knowing that Karen's not going to be here and help us with this, I just was wondering where we were with it.
We won't lose focus and it's gonna take quite a bit of work before we're to the point where we can say, yeah, this is a go, because it is gonna be resource impacting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Good to the order? We've got a little bit of time left. If not, after the October meeting, we did have a meeting with City Council regarding coming up with a new plan for the Cannon Beach Elementary. And I just wanted to kind of throw that out to the group to see if there was any thoughts on that meeting, what role that Parks may or may not be able to play in that, and if there's anybody that feels strongly that they know what we should do. I'm open to suggestions. I can tell you, I thought it was a little premature to bring the Parks Committee into that, but that was my opinion. And so it's just a matter, I wanted to get the group to tell me what you think we should be doing, if anything.
Well, I might say that I feel like the park should have been, and I was glad that we were involved in it, because it states in our master plan and in our code that we should be involved in any sort of development in a park. And so I was glad that we were involved. Whether what kind of a role we play, I'm not sure about that, but I was happy with what I think I heard and understood from council as to their direction. And I don't know that a lot of people on the Parks Committee would agree with that, but I hope that the community can move forward.
Good, I do too. And you're exactly correct. The Cannon Beach Elementary property is specifically mentioned in the Parks Master Plan. So, that is our playground, so that makes sense. Anybody else had any thoughts out of that meeting that are worth discussing?
Well, if I could, and I tried to make my opinion known, is that, the approach that I felt that they were taking was kind of the same approach when they were trying to, redo everything with the expanding scope, and here we're gonna do all this other stuff too. They never really got buy-in, from the public. Yeah, we hired a consultant architect We had 3 meetings and had a few people show up, and here we go, we're heading down this path. And we got 2 visions that, council members came up with. And they're very similar. It's just that they're trying to put something on every square inch of that property and, wait a minute, you're overdoing it. That's my opinion, okay? And, I'm going to say timeout. Let's get some feedback from the public, let's don't go down the same path of trying to do something, and then all of a sudden somebody throws a roadblock and files suit, get some opinions.
I took a different take on that, Tom. I took it that they were wanting to make it a park, not to rebuild the school or the gym. So that's where maybe a difference of understanding has come about.
And that's fair, my view is, we're gonna plant something on every square inch and, we're gonna do something with it. I know there's some other activities going on right now, which I'm not gonna share with you, to do other development there. And I'm kind of like, wait a minute, time out, let's get some feedback.
I think they've had feedback for years.
Well,
Oh, okay, so let me, let me interject. Karen or Chris, since you're fixing to be sitting in there, what's your view on what kind of feedback should the Parks Committee offer to someone on, with regard to what kind of plans are going forward?
We talk about keeping our committees and commission and volunteer groups within their purview. And if you look at the city website and what the purview is of parks, this is a, staff opinion and then soon to be a resident opinion is, I think council needs to make a decision on what's gonna happen with the structure. Then you guys come into the picture, because that is very much a purview about what happens with that piece of property once they've made a decision. But your viewpoint as far as the structure is not within your purview. And I thought you guys did a good job in the council meeting, kind of conveying that you have a role, but you have a role once a decision's been made on the structure, and they haven't made a decision to do something with it or demo it. And so once that happens, then you guys could be in full force. Either way, whether they keep it or demo it, you guys have a role after. That's fine.
And that doesn't stop on the comment, like the city council meetings, in this topic.
Right.
Because we're all residents here, make your voices heard.
Yeah.
We're all passionate about it, so.
You could also collectively put something together and send it to council. So that you've got it documented and send it if you're not excited about standing up in public comment and receive some of the blowback that comes with that. You're absolutely, as a committee, it's within your right to document what you collectively feel and send it to council. Either way, just communicate. And I'm just gonna tell you, we have a 10 o'clock meeting. So
Yeah,
maybe that's-
and I understand.
It's super important to do that, that's please.
All right. So what I would suggest is that individually, if you've got feelings about the NACUS or the Cannon Beach Elementary, that you should communicate that individually to the city council, because I don't think we'll be able as a group to come up with a consensus statement. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting.
All right. Thank you.